Hey guys, it's Timmy, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited, as we're here with the PWUnlimited Wednesday show, PWUnlimited podcast, episode number 57. With that, let's see who's joining us here in the chat. We've got Bird Gotti, John Cox, Jeff Guevara, Lewis 13, Noah Hall, Luke Might, Mesmer Hart, Nicholas Altamore. What is going on, everybody? Just letting people file in before we get going. First thing we're going to talk about for sure is everything we do know so far. Excuse me, hit the microphone there. Everything we do know so far about All Elite Wrestling. Also, I'm going to be doing my predictions for this Friday night, or actually tomorrow night's Wrestle Kingdom show, and we will be taking calls in between topics. Like I said, I'm just going to let a couple more people jump in here in the live chat. We got Slam Hub Wrestling, Adam Heb, Gamer God, Lola Cruz. What is going on, everybody? If you guys want to be part of the show, call in at 559-475-8473, 559-475-8473. Also, you can text the show. I will put that number in the live chat as well. Nicholas Altamore says, can you do another Smash Bros. Stream? Eventually, yeah. It's just, you asked me earlier if I'd do it in the middle of the day, and it's kind of hard for me to live stream in the middle of the day when my kids are home, because they're always running around in the background, making a lot of noise, this and that. Because honestly, my office is my living room. I do everything out of my living room. A little inside baseball there. But anyways, so that's why I can't go live in the middle of the day, especially right now since they're off summer vacation. But with that, Nicholas Armstrong says, are we doing a post show for New Japan? Yes. Not sure exactly when it's going to go up. It all depends on when New Japan ends, when Wrestle Kingdom ends. If it ends too close to 6 a.m. Pacific time, then we will do it Friday night. I will let you guys know as soon as I know. As soon as the show's over, I'll let you know, hey, post show right now or post show tonight. Also, Nicholas Armstrong, you're going to join me here live? If so, jump on Skype. I don't know why I read your full name. I just read the name. It's a habit, reading the full names of the people in the chat. That's why, guy. Anyways, we will. And let's see, a couple other people also asking about Super Smash Bros. We will do another Smash Bros. For sure. With that, let's start talking All Elite Wrestling. So All Elite Wrestling is a thing. We learned basically at the stroke of midnight that... Sorry, I was responding to a text message here. Anyways, so what happened was at midnight, we knew that there was going to be a special episode of Being the Elite. Most people assumed that it was going to be the AEW announcement, or at least, if not the AEW announcement, at least what Cody, the Young Bucks, and other members of Being the Elite were going to be doing following January 1st when they're all free agents. With that, Being the Elite starts off, and it's talking about, going through the countdown clocks. SCU, Frankie Kazarian's got a countdown. Christopher Daniels has a countdown. Scorpio Sky's got a countdown. And then you see Cody, Nick, Matt, and Hangman all gather in front of the Tokyo Dome. And they're like, okay, this countdown's done, but there's nothing here. That was anticlimactic. They all walk off. Then when they come back together, they're like, whoa, 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 look at your phones, look at your phones, look at your phones. You see Cody, Matt, and Nick's phone, and it's got the logo for Double or Nothing. They're like, what? Hangman, do you got this too? What's on your phone, Hangman? And as he turns his phone around, he goes, I got something different, guys. And he reveals the logo for All Elite Wrestling. Or should I say, AEW. So at that time, we're like, okay, so what now? And the episode ends. We learn nothing else. You jump on Twitter, and you find out, hey, Double or Nothing is going to be their next show. Double or Nothing, we don't know when it's going to be. Some are saying that it's rumored to be in May. Some are saying just springtime. With that, they do have a rally next Tuesday, basically at the TIAA Bank Arena, or Bank Stadium, my bad, in Jacksonville, Florida. They're going to be doing it in the parking lot. Big old rally. The funny thing is SmackDown will be in Jacksonville the same night, I believe, right across the street. Now, I see you guys have questions about AEW. I'm going to answer all those questions after we talk about everything we know. So, going forward, we're like, okay, so we know that AEW is a real company. Double or Nothing is their next show. More info on January 8th. Well, at the exact same time, if not a couple minutes before Being the Elite dropped on YouTube, Dave Meltzer's podcast, Wrestling Observer Radio, dropped stating, All Elite Wrestling announced. We listen to that podcast, and Dave says, I ran in to the Young Bucks at an arcade in Japan today, talked to Nick and Matt, and they told me basically everything they can. What Meltzer stated was Tony Khan, who is co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is going to be basically the president of the company. He's going to run the day-to-day business side of things for the most part. We then learn that they're looking to sign guys and girls to multi-year deals. Big money multi-year deals. At that time, at the stroke of midnight, Cody and a number of others had officially been signed, but not the Young Bucks. Because remember, the Young Bucks could not have formally been given contracts to sign till after January 1st began. Also, Dave Meltzer would go on to state that multiple TV deal offers were on the table for AEW, but he didn't know who. So, sit back. January 1st comes. We don't learn too much more yesterday. Then today, Raja.com drops a pretty interesting article stating Tony Khan, who is the president of the company, is putting in $100 million to launch the company. With that, it was reported initially that the company was going to be with Chris Jericho and Jim Ross. They are not the ones in charge of the company. It's Cody and the Bucks and Tony Khan. But Jim Ross is going to have some sort of a commentary and backstage role in the company, most likely starting in March once his WWE contract does expire. Also, they go on to state that Chris Jericho will have a pretty in-depth kind of, I guess you could say, role or relationship with All Elite Wrestling. And finally, sports agent Barry Bloom will also be working with the company to help recruit talent. And they're not just looking at current talent, they're also looking at legends that can partner up with AEW as well. And one that they think they can get, possibly, is Bill Goldberg. The reason they think it'll be pretty easy for them to get Bill Goldberg is that Barry Bloom is Bill Goldberg's agent. Excuse me. Also, they state that, yes, Cody, Nick, and Matt are considered executive vice presidents of AEW, but they're not going to be too worried about the business side of things. They're more worried about the creative and the TV side of things as far as wrestling goes. Cody will serve as executive producer of television and live events. The Young Bucks will basically be the heads of creative. Also, other members of the Elite, possibly like Hangman, and maybe even others when they come in, like Omega and Skrull, who are expected to possibly come in, will serve as producers, as well as members of SCU could also serve as producers. Another rumored name to serve as a producer backstage, or actually possibly a television executive for the company, is BJ Whitmer. BJ Whitmer just actually left Ring of Honor. He was doing a lot of backstage stuff at television for Ring of Honor and also helped out with All In. So that's another name that's rumored to be signing with All Elite Wrestling as well. Finally, one of the big things, Tony Khan has got a lot of pull in a lot of different places because he does a lot of different things business-wise. And apparently he's got some contacts at Time Warner that he's talking to about getting All Elite Wrestling on TNT and or TBS. We do know that they have a trademark for Tuesday Night Dynamite. So that could be their show. Now, I see a couple questions in the chat stating, are we going to get a new Monday Night War? No, not to my knowledge. because they're not looking to run up against the WWE. One reason I believe that they could be running Tuesdays is their show's not going to start till the fall. And with that, they're thinking, well, people have been conditioned since 2016 to watch wrestling on a Tuesday night. So if we fill that void when SmackDown moves to Fridays, bada boom, there we go. People are already used to watching wrestling on Tuesdays. So they slip their Tuesday Night Dynamite show in on TNT or TBS, and away we go. Also, we do know, according to that report from Raja.com, they're looking to go hard, quote unquote, go hard on signing guys that are signed into WWE right now that they know their contracts are coming up soon, both in-ring talent and backstage people. So they're not afraid to go after anybody. They know with the $100 million they've got from Tony Khan, they can launch this company. If they sign a deal with Time Warner and get on TNT and or TBS, then that's big TV money coming in as well. That's really going to help with these, I guess you could say, contracts. Now, Dave Meltzer did confirm via F4W Online that Britt Baker has officially been signed to All Elite Wrestling, the first female confirmed other than Brandy, first female wrestler other than Brandy to be confirmed to the company. Meltzer did state, well, the article states that Meltzer said that Brandy will have a pretty big influence and role in the women's division of the company, and Matt Jackson's wife, Dana Massey, will also have a big role within the company, most likely working on the merchandising side, as she's basically the one that runs Young Bucks merch and has run that into $1 million, basically made that $1 million business. Finally, one thing we haven't talked about on the channel yet is an article that dropped from PW Torch. Wade Keller did report that they're looking to sign guys and girls to contracts right now, which are called not official contracts, but they're called holding contracts. What these holding contracts are, they are contracts where they're basically stating you sign this contract and you're agreeing to work for All Elite Wrestling, and until we do get a TV deal, you do not go and sign exclusive deals with any other pro wrestling company, MLW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, WWE, etc. What they're hoping is they sign talent to these holding deals. They run some events. They pay the wrestlers a downside guarantee even while they're not working for AEW. And once they get TV and an actual TV schedule as far as filming goes, taping schedule, then they could take that TV money and possibly pay just about everybody on their roster six-figure salaries. Now that comes from Wade Keller over at PW Torch. So looking to pay guys upwards of six figures. And that's not just their top tippy-top guys. Most, is if I read that article correctly, if I took into account exactly what he was saying. So with that, they're looking to sign a bunch of people to their roster. They don't know exactly when they're going to start filming anything. Double or Nothing may be announced next week. But as far as television goes, they're trying to confirm their TV deal, trying to lock that down. Once they do, then they can get a taping schedule in place, and then everybody will be officially signed to contracts with an actual money guarantee, more than what their downside is, I guess you can say, even when they're not working. So they're looking to, I guess you could say, well, I guess what it is, put guys on hold. Put guys on hold. So that way, once they can go 100% full bore, 150%, they've already got a roster. They know what they're going to be able to do. They know who they can work with and work on. So that is basically all we know so far of All Elite Wrestling. There's a lot to digest there. I know I kind of went through that pretty quickly, about 10 minutes or so. Thanos Troll says, will it be live? Nobody knows. Nobody knows if it's going to be a live show or if it's going to be a taped show. And we've learned with NXT, it doesn't matter. We learned with MLW, with Ring of Honor, it doesn't matter. Tape show or live show, it's still going to do pretty well. Even look at WWE. Excuse me. When WWE does those shows in the UK where they tape it earlier in the day and then they air them about 5 hours later, people still watch. Ratings still stay okay. So I think even at first maybe tape it, do a tape show. Then maybe here and there you can throw out a live episode, but you don't have to be live every single week. We've learned with NXT. NXT's got a great following and they're not live except for their takeover events. Also, the other question I keep getting asked is how many pay-per-views a year are they going to run? Who knows? All we know right now is they're trying to lock down a TV deal based off of the trademark they did file. They want TV on Tuesdays, and they're going to run Double or Nothing possibly in the spring. So again, that is all we know so far on All Elite Wrestling. If we do hear anything else, of course, we're going to let you guys know. The face in the chat says 100 million can launch a football league. No one wants 100 million could do wonders for a wrestling company. Exactly. Now, the 100 million is the start. Tony Khan and his whole family are worth $6.3 billion. So if they do need to slide a little more money in there, they can. But the hope is to get this TV deal signed as soon as possible. So then that's revenue coming into the company. That's revenue coming in that they're not having to expedite out, if that makes sense. But with that, if you guys do have any questions on All Elite Wrestling, we'll take them. You can ask us in the chat, you can text them in, or call. Let's take our first call of the night. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Nothing much. I joined the podcast pretty late, but I did have one question about AEW.
Okay.
So when I left off to call you, you were talking about Britt Baker and Britt Baker joining AEW.
Right.
Now I was wondering, what WWE superstars do you think that's going to join AEW? Would you may already have answered this question before, but I just want to know.
Well, it's hard to say because we don't know whose contracts that are coming up in 2019 are interested. We can speculate, but we don't know whose contracts are interested. The second question is guys that contracts are coming up. We don't know what WWE is going to do. Are WWE going to offer them good money deals to stay? Or could there be somebody like, say, take a Ty Dillinger, for instance, where they say, we've done all we think we can with you. We'll let you go. Ty Dillinger, the night All Elite Wrestling was announced, was tweeting about it. He was retweeting all the stuff. So he's someone that might be interested. The Bucks have a good relationship with Gallows and Anderson. Maybe they could be interested. A lot of things are going to be this next year. You can't really. Here's my one thing. Don't judge All Elite Wrestling as a success or failure until the first year is up. Because there's a lot of moving parts that still need to be put in place and need to be figured out and need to be adjusted once certain things happen before we can really see, are they going to be good for the long haul or is this just a short-term thing? But as far as your question is, who do I think could go? Like I said, someone that could really benefit probably would be a Ty Dillinger, maybe Tyler Breeze, a Mojo Rawley even.
Cody Rhodes was tweeting Zack Ryder.
True. I don't know when Zach's contract does expire, but, I mean, Zach's really close with Cody and Brandy. He's really close with Marty. He's really close with Britt Baker and them as well, so.
And then I saw somewhere, what was it? It was, I don't think it was Nakamura. Oh, the Revival. But the thing about the Revival is that I would think that Vince and WWE would want to keep them around because the fans will love them.
Right.
So they would keep them around so that AEW doesn't have them.
And that's my thing. What I said at the get-go was, is WWE going to try and offer their guys bigger deals than they already have now to keep them? Or are they going to say, I like your big money offer, but I want to go try this thing, even if they're going to be making less. Some guys may say, I'll take a pay cut to go work for All Elite. We just don't know. It all depends on what WWE is willing to offer their guys to keep them.
Well, because I saw the Heal by Nature video, and it said that they were offering six figures.
Right, I said that as well. That comes from a report from Wade Keller of PW Torch, that they're looking to, once they get their TV deal, not initially, but once they can get a lucrative TV deal, they would like to sign their roster to six-figure deals.
Oh, yeah, because they were putting the contracts on hold.
Correct. They're going to sign them. They're going to sign, which I already stated, which you said you didn't hear, but I'll say it again for you. They're signing people to holding deals to where they will pay them, I don't know how much, but a good amount to keep them from not signing with another company until they get TV. Once they get TV, then they will officially sign their full contracts with AEW.
Now, talking about like exclusive contracts, do you think Kota Ibushi would be, or would he just be like floating around?
That's a tough one because he doesn't like to be tied down, even though he only really works with New Japan. Some have said before, I'm skeptical that he doesn't sign with New Japan. Where else does he work? He doesn't work for anybody else, but at the same time, he won't sign an exclusive deal. So that's a little head scratcher there.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I gotta say thank you for the call and have a great night.
You too, man.
All right, let's take another call here. Call, you're on the air. What's going on?
Is this Pro Wrestling Unlimited?
Yes.
Yes. I want to talk about a stable I want to create with Drew Galloway.
Okay.
And the stable is Gallus that they already have in NXT UK. Call them up. Sign. They already have Viper and Kaylee Ray there. They can be the.
Wait, are you talking about Viper and Kaylee Ray in WWE?
Yeah,
they are not signed to WWE.
Who's the Scottish wrestler that I saw at
Viper is currently signed. Viper is currently signed to World of Sport. She cannot sign with WWE at this time.
No, who was the Scottish wrestler that I thought I saw on NXT UK? The female Scottish wrestler was that Kaylee Ray or was that someone else?
As far as I know, Kaylee Ray is also not signed with the WWE. So I'm honestly, like I said, I think I said it on last night's podcast. I'm a couple episodes behind on NXT UK, so I honestly have no idea who you could be talking about. Sorry.
But what do you think about that? Pairing Gallus up with Drew Galloway and having him as a main guy as a Universal Champion and the Coffee Brothers as tag team champion and Wolfgang as a Intercontinental or.
I think it could work maybe, but the thing there is those guys are still being established to the WWE audience, and I think if you were to say do that now or even within the next 6 months, the WWE audience may not know who these guys are, and they're just like, well, who are these guys?
They know Drew Galloway. Do you think?
Well, yeah, we know who McIntyre is, but all the other guys.
Oh.
Huh?
Yeah, no. Because the reason why I asked that is because it's some of the fans of Pete Dunne. They already know Pete Dunne, and they're fans. And some of the fans like us, we've watched them go through the UK scene, like
right. But the normal WWE US audience, like the just casual fans that only watch Raw and SmackDown, probably don't know who those UK guys are for the most part, unless they've been on Raw, SmackDown, or maybe NXT. There's still guys that come up from to the main roster from NXT that a lot of fans don't even know who they are because they don't watch NXT.
And does that hurt? Honestly, trying to build these people, because it seems like Vince doesn't know how to utilize these people. So do you think once Triple H and like Shane and stuff take over, once Vince retires and does the XFL thing, do you think it would help the casual fans get used to them even better because Triple H is in charge of NXT and stuff like that?
I hear your question. I want to say thank you for the call. And I mean, yes and no. Because yes, Triple H, if he's still hands-on with NXT when he takes over the main roster, will know these guys' strengths and weaknesses, my bad. So it would help him knowing how to book them on the main roster. But you still have that problem of at least half of your main roster audience, if not 75%, not watching NXT and not knowing who these guys and girls are. That's the issue. They may come up, and because they're new, they get a pop at first, but then they're just like, oh wait, who's this guy? Who's this girl? I don't know who that is. And that just kind of fades. And so Vince sees that and just thinks, oh, well, it was cool because I saw a fresh face at first, but now whatever. So that's the issue. The issue is that enough people are not watching NXT and NXT UK or the indies, the UK indies, to know who some of these people are when they come up to the main roster. That's one of the big issues. Not, oh, Vince just doesn't know how to book them. It's that, and fans don't know who they are. Let's take another call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Yes, sir. Sorry that I know we're talking a lot about AEW stuff, but I got a couple of questions for you about the Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's fine. Go for it.
Do you think, I know WWE is hesitant about the deceased category,
Okay.
but do you think Vader and China will go in different years?
I can see Vader going in. China, there's a stigma they have with China.
Yeah, I know.
The rumor is, well, if people Google WWE Hall of Famer China, they're not going to see some favorable things. But it's not like you can't Google WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan and not see some favorable things, just in a different
because
kind
he's done twice as much.
Just a different kind of category. They just feel like the China thing was worse, I guess you could say.
Right. But and then one final thing: do you think that I know you probably get this question a lot, but do you think Impact's on life support?
Oh, very much so. I mean, you see with some of the stuff they're doing. Like when they ran Slammiversary, I thought, wow, they're on an upswing. Coming out of Slammiversary, they could do some great things. But then when you saw Bound for Glory, I kind of felt the opposite. They ran a much smaller building. What I've seen, I don't watch Impact every week because I don't get Pop TV, but what I've seen of clips online from the Impact show, it seems okay, but it just seems like the crowds are into it for the most part, but not enough to make you think, well, the live crowd thinks this is cool. I should think this is cool. That's one of the things as well. And it's just like, I don't hear enough about it of people being interested. And that's the other issue. You don't hear of enough fans that are interested to where it's like, oh, I watch this every single week. Someone might say, oh, I saw one episode a month ago, or I saw a couple episodes over the summer. So I think that's another thing. They're not engaging their fans enough.
Right. And well, I appreciate you calling that. Oh, real fast.
Sure.
You ready for racing season this year?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Well, you have a blessed night, man, and thanks for taking my call.
Not a problem. Thanks for the call, and have a great night.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, always ready for the NASCAR season to start. I mean, I'm coming off. I won my fantasy league last year, so I'm ready. Let's take another call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hello.
How's it going? What's going on?
Good. I saw the PWUnlimited.
Excuse me, I can barely understand you.
Sorry. Hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, sir?
Hello?
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw on YouTube the PWUnlimited PODCAST
Okay.
to be part of the show.
Okay, honestly, I have no clue what you're talking about.
I saw the wrestling YouTube on. I saw the number pop up.
And
wrestling.
do you have a wrestling question?
Yes.
What's your question?
Because I want to be on the show.
Okay, I could, not to be rude, I couldn't understand a word he was saying. He was spelling something out, and I was just not catching it. So, unfortunately, I had to drop the call. I'm sorry for that. But let's take one more call before we talk some sad news. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Yo, Tim, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm good. I'll make this quick. Like, what are your thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom? Who you think is winning, and who you think who's the person? I think Corey's dropping that title, and I think Omega's gonna keep his title. What are your thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom coming up?
I'm not going to talk about that now. I'm going to give my predictions in just a little bit here on the show.
Gotcha.
But as far as, I'll say it now, Omega, I think Tanahashi needs to win.
You think so? But Kenny just, I think Kenny should be champ just a little bit longer. He's doing great as champ. He's doing awesome.
But who knows what Kenny's going to do?
You're right
his
about
contract
that one, man.
expires. Maybe they don't even know. And if they don't even know, they can't risk it. But I've got a theory on what they could do if Omega stays or if Omega doesn't stay that I'm going to talk about in my predictions.
Okay, I'll wait to hear it. But thanks for taking my call, man.
Not a problem. All right, so to move on there, we're going to talk some sad news. We learned this morning that WWE Hall of Famer and legendary backstage interviewer Mean Gene Okerlund passed away at the age of 76. WWE sent out the following tweet. WWE is saddened to learn that WWE Hall of Famer Gene Okerlund, the most recognizable interviewer in sports entertainment history, has passed away at the age of 76. Now, with that, initially we didn't know any kind of cause of death. The Associated Press put out an article stating the following. Okerlund passed away at a hospital in Sarasota, Florida, near where he lives in Osprey. Okerlund had his wife by his side at the time of his death. His son, Tor Okerlund, stated that his father has undergone 3 kidney surgeries in his life. What actually led to his passing was a fall that he took a few weeks back. Tor would state, "It just went from bad to worse." So it looks like 76-year-old Mean Gene Okerlund had a spill, had a fall, and he just didn't recover from it, and ultimately he passed away. And we do know that Gene was still making appearances, still doing signings. He was at Wrestle Kingdom back in November. So everything was good until, unfortunately, he did have that spill. Some WWE superstars and others within pro wrestling gave their condolences and shared some memories that they had with Mean Gene Okerlund. I'm going to read some of them here. Triple H stated, "A voice and soundtrack to an entire era of our industry. He was the star of some of WWE's most memorable segments. Mean Gene was beloved by all who got to work with him. Our thoughts are with his family." William Regal would say, "Sad that my friend Mean Gene Okerlund has passed. I was so fortunate to work with him for 24 years. Our time doing local markets in WCW and worldwides taught me more than anything on how to cut a promo." There's a couple others that said that too, that they learned how to cut a promo by being interviewed and working with Mean Gene. Stone Cold Steve Austin tweeted out, "Just heard Mean Gene Okerlund has passed away. As an interviewer, pitchman, announcer, or host, he was untouchable. Simply the best. Total professional with quick wit, sarcasm, humor, and that golden voice. Condolences to his friends and family." Looking on here, some other ones that, like Jim Ross stated that he heard the news and it was sad to hear this, and he had just seen Mean Gene about a month or so ago in North Carolina at Wrestle Kingdom. So I just wanted to give my condolences to the entire Okerlund family on these hard times. Mean Gene was one of the greatest backstage interviewers of all time. I mean, whenever he comes on the screen and he's interviewing either Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, The Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper, Ric Flair in WCW, you just knew it was going to be good. It was very rare when a segment that had Gene Okerlund in it was not good near great. Again, I want to give my deepest condolences to the Okerlund family as another great has gone away. Let's take another call. If you guys do want to call in the number on the screen, 559-475-8473. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Yeah, first off, I want to send out my condolences to the family of Gene Okerlund.
Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, it's actually about my favorite superstar, Shinsuke. I know he lost the title to Rusev. and I understand that his contract was up this year.
Okay.
I was wondering if you had heard anything about if he re-signed or what the plans are with him.
Well, he hasn't re-signed as far as I know. I don't know exactly when his contract does come up. Last I heard, it could have been anywhere between like February or March maybe. And as far as if he wants to leave or not, I know he recently did an interview a couple of months back where he made a surfing reference. He stated the waves are closer in Japan, but they're better in Florida, making a reference to in Japan he basically lived near the ocean. He lived near where he can go surfing every day. In Japan, living in Orlando, he's got to travel about an hour. So that's what that kind of thing was, stating, hey, I may have to travel a little farther, but the waves are better here. So that made me believe that maybe he wants to stick around in WWE. I feel like he didn't uproot his entire family from Japan to the States just to stay here for only 3 years.
Yeah, 'cause I mean that would be kind of pointless, to be honest. I understand that he moved his family to Orlando.
Right.
Okay, I saw many sources saying that, but I just didn't know if it was true or not.
Yeah, his whole family came with him when he signed with WWE.
Yeah, that would be kind of pointless if he uprooted his whole family to the States just to stay for 3 years and then have to go back.
Right.
That would be kind of pointless.
Exactly.
But I do hope to see him around.
Yeah, as far as him sticking around, I haven't got any indication that he's going to leave. So, I mean, as far as we know right now, he's sticking around.
And one last thing about him, I'm telling you, WWE has totally wasted his talent.
I mean, you can say that for the most part, yeah.
I mean, putting him in losing matches against Jinder, Rusev, AJ. I mean, in Japan, he was a huge star.
True.
Winning match after match, but then he comes over here and then he starts losing match after match. What's going on?
I mean, it's just how WWE perceives him. I know Triple H used him very well in NXT, but he came to the main roster, and Vince uses him as a top guy. It's not that he's not seen as a top guy. It's just Vince sees him as a guy that if he wins or he loses, it doesn't hurt his credibility. It doesn't hurt his popularity. Like some guys, if they lose too much, it hurts their popularity. But with Nakamura, he always stays popular with the crowd. They always like him regardless of how he's being used.
Well, that makes sense, and regardless of whether he's a good guy or a heel, I don't care.
Exactly. A lot of people feel the same way.
You know, I'm gonna stick with him no matter what. So, I mean, that's what a true fan would do anyway.
Exactly. But with that, I want to say thank you for the call and have a great night.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's take another call here. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hi, how are you? How you doing?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah. I just had a question about how you thought about Kenny Omega, because he didn't partake in any of the being the elite stuff. So I was just wondering about what you thought, if he was possibly still considering WWE because he has a big money offer on the table, or if he's playing.
So are you asking why he wasn't in any of the? He wasn't in the All Elite Wrestling episode on yesterday?
No, I'm just asking about what your thoughts are, because he wasn't involved in any of the being the elite stuff.
Right.
So I assumed that he was trying to keep kayfabe for his Wrestle Kingdom match. So I was just asking you if you thought that he was possibly still considering.
I get what you're asking, and I got this question a couple of times today. You know, Kenny Omega was not in the episode with the All Elite Wrestling stuff, and he can't be. As of right now, Kenny Omega is still a signed, contracted wrestler to New Japan. So anything being the elite under what I believe, what I've heard, is anything on being the elite that has to do with All Elite Wrestling, Kenny Omega can't be associated with, because he's a contracted wrestler, exclusively contracted to another company. If Being the Elite's episode is all about All Elite, like that episode that dropped, I guess you could say, Tuesday morning, Monday night was, he can't be on that because then they'd be like, oh, you're trying to promote another company? You trying to promote the competition? That can't happen. So that's why he wasn't on that episode. We did see a Kenny Omega video go up the day before on the Being the Elite channel. So it's not like he's still not associated with that channel. He just, as of right now, while he's still under contract with New Japan, can't do anything that has to do with All Elite. Now you're asking about would he still consider WWE? That's the big question. Some feel that maybe he's still going to consider it. Maybe he's still pondering the idea, but nobody knows. Kenny Omega, other than, Hangman, Cody, the Bucks, are being way more just vague and secretive on what he's going to do. He's telling people like Dave Meltzer and other people that would have gotten interviews with him ahead of Wrestle Kingdom, I can't do an interview with you. There's going to be too many questions that I'm not allowed to answer, and it's just not fair to the interview. So there's a lot of things that he's still considering, and he can't talk about it. And so he's just avoiding it altogether.
That makes sense.
So, like I said, it's just all up in the air with Omega. He's being way more quiet and secretive than the other guys. So that's the tough one to judge on.
Do you think we'll see him in the Rumble, or we'll see?
Last I heard, his contract may not even be up in time for that to happen with New Japan.
Do you know when the contract expires?
I do not, but I do know that last year he did an interview with Dave Meltzer where he stated that he was going back to Japan in early February to negotiate his next contract. So I assume it's either end of January or early February when his contract could expire.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the call, and have a great night.
You too, thank you.
All right, let's check the chat here. Bill Musa asked for the Discord link. Put it in the chat. There you go. Chris McGuinn said, I tried calling. Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to call right now. Can't get everybody in at once. And we've got a couple things we want to talk about. I am going to take one more call. I'm going to look at the chat. And then I'm going to take one more call before we go into Wrestle Kingdom predictions. The chat, some are asking about Marty Scurll. It's another one that's up in the air. I don't expect him to re-sign with ROH when his contract does expire, I want to say in April after the MSG show, but there is a chance maybe he signs with WWE. I mean, some of his closest friends other than the Elite guys are in WWE. His girlfriend is signed to WWE. So, but I mean, I can't even use that analogy because Britt Baker's boyfriend is signed to WWE and she signed with All Elite. So I assume Marty Scurll will go to All Elite Wrestling. That's the assumption by most. Noah Hall says, imagine making a custom WWE version of the Bullet Club. Well, I mean, they tried to with AJ Gallows and Anderson. They called them The Club. Daniel says, I had a good feeling AJ is going to Raw this New Year's. We are starting, possibly, very possible. Let's take one final call before we go in and talk about Friday or Thursday night's Wrestle Kingdom. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hello?
Hello?
Good.
How's it going?
Good.
What's your question?
What time does CM come back to
Pardon? I can barely hear you.
WWE CM Punk?
CM Punk, I honestly don't think he'll come back. If he does, it ain't going to be for... I mean, it won't be anytime soon. Like, CM Punk has stated multiple times that he's not interested in coming back to pro wrestling. He doesn't feel that the way WWE treated him at the end of his time there was favorable, and he's just got a sour taste in his mouth for WWE. I mean, honestly, I can see him signing with AEW before he would ever return to WWE.
I'm gonna be just not saying shit.
Okay. And with that, I want to say thank you for the call and have a great night.
All right.
All right, so with that, let's talk a little Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom 13 does take place, I guess you could say, in about 24, 25, 26 hours. No, 25 hours. The pre-show starts at 11 p.m. Pacific time, 2 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Pre-show usually has their version of the Royal Rumble, what they call it. I can't remember what they used to call it. It was basically their version of the Royal Rumble. I can't remember the exact name they used to have, but this year's different. This year, they're going to be doing a gauntlet match, a 6-man tag gauntlet match. With that, the winners of said gauntlet match will then go on to New Year's Dash the following day, which is basically they're off to WrestleMania, and challenge Guerrillas of Destiny and Taiji Ishimori for the never openweight 6-man tag team championships. I think the winners of that said 6-man gauntlet. I thought I had the teams in front of me, but I don't have all the different teams in front of me. I think the winners could possibly be Hangman Page, Chase Owens, and Yujiro Takahashi. I think those guys can go. You know, Hangman's not sticking around with New Japan, so you can have them lose the next night to the Guerrillas of Destiny. It could be the whole, it can be the whole Bullet Club versus Bullet Club thing. And Tama Tonga did recently state on Instagram Live, that he's got a special plan in place for Yujiro Takahashi and Chase Owens. So maybe they win this gauntlet with Hangman. They go into the next night to do the 6-man tag team match, and the match never happens. They all just attack Hangman. Other members of the Elite or Bullet Club or whoever come down to try and save him, and all hell breaks loose. That's just my prediction. Going forward with the main card of the show is opening. The first match of the night for the never openweight title is Kota Ibushi defending against Will Ospreay. Don't tell me that's not match of the year quality right there. Like, what can really top that on this card? What can really top that on this card is baffling. Like, what? Honestly, I do think they should put the title on Will Ospreay, because Kota Ibushi is an interesting factor here when you think about All Elite, especially if Omega leaves for All Elite. Maybe he takes his old buddy Kota with him as well. So I think Kota Ibushi, he has the title right now, but put it on Will Ospreay. Even if Kota Ibushi doesn't leave, maybe they can feud over it for a month or two. Next up, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles will be on the line when Kanemaru and Desperado defend against both Roppongi 3K and Bushi and Tagagi. I mean, this match should be a okay match. I mean, it's going to be tough with them having to follow Ibushi versus Ospreay. I feel like the crowd's going to be on such a high for that never openweight title match, and then it's like, oh, now we got these 6 juniors. But I think put it on Roppongi 3K. Why not? The fans that love Roppongi 3K, you can do some cool things with them. You know, you've got they're in Chaos and whatnot. But yeah, I think why not put it on Roppongi 3K. Next up, going forward, give me 1 second, guys. Next up, going forward, we do have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles on the line, when the Guerrillas of Destiny will be defending against the Young Bucks and Evil and Sonata. I feel like just keep titles on the Guerrillas of Destiny. You want to build them back up anyways now that the Elite's leaving. You want to build them as this force that can bring, I guess you could say, bring Bullet Club into the new era of New Japan without Cody, without the Bucks, possibly without Omega, without Hangman. So you want to establish them as a good threat, not just be like, oh, those are those guys that used to be with the Elite. I say Guerrillas of Destiny. Next match we got here with the Revolution Pro British Heavyweight title on the line. Tomohiro Ishii defending against Zack Sabre Jr. We've seen these guys battle a couple times over 2018, and I think this one, I love the clash of styles here. You just got the brute brawling strength of Ishii against the technical prowess of Zack Sabre Jr. Honestly, it doesn't really matter who goes over, so I say put the title on Zack Sabre Jr. Now, the next one is kind of obvious. With the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship on the line, you've got Cody defending against Juice Robinson. With Cody going to All Elite Wrestling, basically leaving New Japan for as far as we know. And I know Cody would like to still work with New Japan, but as of right now, that's up in the air. So you got to put that title on Juice. Juice did lose a couple times to Cody over his time in New Japan, over Cody's time in New Japan. So I think finally is the time Juice gets that big win on the biggest stage they've got. Put that title on Juice. And usually, crowds cheer, but I think that crowd will maybe not erupt, but they'll go pretty good, go pretty wild when Juice wins that title, because Juice is a pretty big fan favorite over there. Next up, with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line, Kushida will be defending against Taiji Ishimori. I think Kushida keeps the title. I think you keep that title on Kushida. Kushida is a great junior heavyweight champion, and you keep that title on him because WWE is interested in him. You keep that title on him and you go, hey, we have faith in you. We want you to be our champion for the long term. Stick with us. That's another reason why you should keep the title on him. Keep it on Kushida. Now, the only match on the main card that is not for a championship. It's third from the top. It's Kazuchika Okada against Jay White. Now, Jay White's been getting the upper hand on Okada. He even had Gedo turn on Okada. And I think this is a tough one because I can weigh the options both ways. Okada should win because, his former mentor, his former manager turned on him. Jay White turned on Chaos and joined Bullet Club. So have Okada go over is just like the babyface does prevail in the end. But at the same time, you could say, well, Jay White's that next big star that's going to usher in the new era. So maybe you have Jay White go over, but I think in the end, Okada should go over. I know it's not going to be a favorable thing. A lot of people do think that Switchblade Jay White should go over, but I think Okada goes over. Next up, semi-main with the IWGP Intercontinental Championship on the line. Chris Jericho defending against Tetsuya Naito. I think it's a no-brainer. Put the title on Naito. Give Naito his IC title back. We don't know Chris Jericho's status following Wrestle Kingdom, but at the same time, we thought Jericho was one and done last year at Wrestle Kingdom, so maybe Jericho does stick around. But I think put that title on Naito. That's the way to go. Jericho won the last one. Naito can win this one, and if Jericho's willing to stick around, you do the rubber match. Sets up a third match possibly. And finally, in the main event, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship on the line, you've got Kenny Omega defending against Hiroshi Tanahashi. And here's my thing. Either way, if Omega is leaving or staying with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tanahashi wins. And here's why. Tanahashi, now if Kenny's leaving New Japan, whether he goes to AEW or WWE, Tanahashi wins because, well, you got to take that title off of Kenny. Put the title on Tanahashi. But here's the other reason why I think Tanahashi could win, even if they know Kenny is re-signing. Tanahashi wins the title at Wrestle Kingdom. Then, in the main event of the G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden, Kenny gets his rematch against Tanahashi and wins the title in America. You have that big North American star go over in North America in Madison Square Garden. So those are my two predictions. Either way, I see Tanahashi coming out victorious after the great year he had last year. There's no reason you don't put that title on him. But, like I said, if Omega leaves, it's a no-brainer for sure. If Omega's staying, you put that title on Tanahashi just so Omega can then get that big win. WrestleMania weekend, Madison Square Garden in America. So those are my predictions for Wrestle Kingdom. Again, if you are unaware, Wrestle Kingdom will air tomorrow night starting at 11 p.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. Eastern. You can get it for, I think it's about $9.99 on New Japan World or $34.99 on the Fight app. And we will put a code up on our community tab that will get you $15 off if you do order it with Fight. So I see some people in here again asking about the Royal Rumble thing. I don't even think his contract will be up with New Japan before the Rumble if he were to go to WWE. So I don't even think that's on the table, in the cards, possible. With that, take a couple more calls before we wrap it up here tonight. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Cam. So what do you think of the news of Tony Storm deleting all her social media?
I don't even want to, not to be rude, I mean, that's such a personal thing that I don't even want to talk about it. I know we've covered stories like that in the past, and we've grown from that. We're I guess, I don't know what the word I should use about that, but it's a personal thing that happened to her, and then people started just being mean to her online, so she felt like she had to get off of social media. It's something I really don't want to talk about because it's a very, very personal subject. I feel bad that we've covered this kind of stuff in the past. And so, yeah, I have nothing to say about it.
And another, what's the point of having the first star if they're giving AJ Styles a rematch for the WWE champion and they won't give the other rematch to the people they lost the title to? What's the point to have?
So here's the thing with
no
that.
More.
Here's the thing with that. I get where you're coming from. Why is AJ getting the title shot at the Royal Rumble? I mean, it's simple. They can still say, we didn't just give AJ his automatic rematch. AJ, quote-unquote, earned it in a fatal five-way. Now, I know a lot of this, quote-unquote, fresh start is supposed to happen in January, so you think Royal Rumble, do all new things. But maybe they have a plan. Maybe, okay, most people were thinking Mustafa Ali. He can go on and challenge Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble. But what? What if? I'm just spitballing an idea here. Speculating. I'm not reporting anything. What if Mustafa Ali is not getting that match at Royal Rumble because he will challenge Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania? What if they have a plan down the line for something big that's new? And so they said, let's just give something reliable to the fans at the Royal Rumble with Daniel Bryan and AJ. Yes, it's kind of like he's getting another rematch, but we can still say that he earned it by winning the Fatal 5-Way. And the same thing with Triple H on Monday with Seth. He told Seth, you can get your rematch, you just got to prove to me that you deserve it. So, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that we still see the same guys getting matchups. It's just they're looking at it from a different perspective of how they get their matchups.
Wait, what if AJ don't win a match? Could he also be in the Rumble?
So you're asking if he doesn't win the title, could he still be in the Rumble?
Yeah.
Yes, we saw that happen 2017 with Roman Reigns. It was Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the Universal title with Chris Jericho in a shark cage. Roman Reigns was destroyed by Braun Strowman in this match, lost the match, and entered the Rumble at number 30. So it is possible that AJ could lose to Bryan, but still be in the Royal Rumble. It's very possible.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. Thanks for the call, and have a great night.
You too.
All right. Caller. Oh, nope. Had one and lost it right away. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Good, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, just like one little thing.
Go for it.
After AJ versus Bryan, personally, who do you want to see face him next? I understand AJ, quote unquote, won his opportunity, but if they want new change, who you want to see? I say you wait for Mustafa Ali and I don't know, see Ray versus AJ. Ray doesn't have to win, but it'd be an entertaining match.
So you're asking who AJ feuds with next or challenges Bryan?
No. I think Daniel's gonna win.
Right, so do I.
I think Daniel win, but who should face him? Who should face Bryan Daniel Bryan next. I think Mustafa Ali, just wait for that. Wait for that. I think, who do you think Daniel should face next after AJ? I say Rey Mysterio, just because it'd be it's a dream match personally for me.
Right, and like I stated with the last caller, I think maybe Mustafa Ali could be that surprise match we get at WrestleMania, where WWE knows that match could be just a show stealer type of match. You do that at WrestleMania, but you do need something in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So maybe, I mean, I don't want to just make it a stopgap kind of thing, but maybe you can do Ray. Maybe you can do Randy Orton. Maybe
what about Joe? They had great matches on the Indies.
Yep, we know those guys can do good matches, and
they have great chemistry, so we get a good match off the bat.
And the thing with Joe, which I think maybe they could do Joe, excuse me, if you have Joe go in there, say at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view and challenge Daniel Bryan for the championship, and here's the other thing: if SmackDown is not the one that's already got the guaranteed match or whatever for WrestleMania, maybe they do an Elimination Chamber with the title on the line or something, and so that's where Daniel Bryan goes next. He defends his title in the Elimination Chamber.
I'm down with that.
Because if you remember when Cena won the title at the Royal Rumble a few years back, then he went and defended it at the Chamber and lost it to Bray. So maybe they can do that. SmackDown gets the Chamber match for the title and then goes from there.
Yeah, whatever works. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Not a problem. Thanks for the call and have a great night. All right, with that, we'll take one final call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Not much, Tim. Happy New Year to you and yours.
Happy New Year to yourself.
Thank you. Isn't it funny how one thing can change the course of history? Now, in a parallel universe, Vince McMahon decides back in 2012, I believe, to make Cody Rhodes win Money in the Bank instead of Damian Sandow. Pushes Cody properly, and he's a multi-time WWE champion by now, and AEW doesn't exist. But that didn't happen.
Here's the thing with that. Before I cut you off, before you go any further. That could have all well have happened. But even if he would have won Money in the Bank, been a champion, do they still do the Stardust gimmick? If they still did the Stardust gimmick, that was Cody's final straw. He asked after WrestleMania in 2016, can we drop this gimmick? Can I go back to being Cody Rhodes? I have ideas. And they told him no. And that's when he said, well, my time here may be short-lived. And about a month later, he asked for his release and got it. So I get where you're coming from. If they would have made him a world champion, things could have been different. But the big deciding thing was if they never made him be Stardust, if they always let him just be Cody Rhodes, that's where things could have been different.
What was he doing in 2000? What was it? Was he doing the dashing thing? Is that what he was doing? The dashing, the mustache thing? Was that what he was doing in 2012?
When he kind of feuded with Sandow?
Yeah.
I believe so. It was like coming right off of, I think it was like coming right off of the Rey Mysterio stuff, and when he was wearing the face mask.
Yeah, they were a tag team, right? They were the Rhodes Scholars, and then I think they split up, and then okay. No, I mentioned that because I think that decision may be in the back of Vince's mind. Like, man, why didn't I just push him right away? I bring this up because online and forums and even in the chat, you're seeing people being so quick to be dismissive of AEW. Oh, Vince isn't worried about AEW. Oh, they're not going to be a big deal. Oh, Vince is not going to worry about that. My question is, why do you think so many, I'm going to say WWE fans, because WWE fans aren't necessarily pro wrestling fans, let's be honest. Why are they they're so quick to be dismissive of AEW, in your opinion?
My opinion is that until they announce a TV deal, most people don't even think this is real. Most people just think it's some guys playing and having fun. Until they sign a TV deal and say, we're going to be on TV for example, Tuesday night with Tuesday Night Dynamite. It's going to air on this network at this time. Until we get that definitive announcement, I've seen a lot of people say, oh yeah, this will last until they do Double or Nothing. And then they'll go on and do something else after that. But it's not going to be anything feasible. That's where a lot of fans are skeptical. Because they don't have a TV deal. They just feel like this is just some guys that got a guy to give them money to run another show like All In. And that's why they're so skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, and some people are like, oh, it's a hoax, man. I'm like, that would be the best, deepest, well played, well invested hoax of all time. I'm like, give it a chance. Like, just let it be. And I know sometimes I think it's just some WWE hardcore people are like, well, WWE's the tops. These guys are nothing. And I'm thinking maybe it's just ignorance, maybe they just don't know better. But I don't know. It's just kind of like,
but to say that Vince isn't worried about it or it's not on his radar, I don't believe that to be true. Yeah. And especially if they get a TV deal, then Vince will be worried for sure. Because Vince, it's always been said, Vince doesn't care until he feels like you're going to be or can be or are number 2. When Impact was the number 2 company just because there was really no other competition, Vince wanted nothing to do with them. Vince cared about them as far as who can we sign to WWE to not go there. But now that Impact is no longer number 2, now that's like ROH New Japan, we see Impact footage on the network. He's like, hey, let's work with them now since they're not direct competition. They're not trying to put us out of business. They're not trying to take our stars anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I think, we mentioned, you've been talking about this every week on the podcast. Like, the excitement is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm a true believer. I'm like, this is going to get off the ground. Oh, yeah. They're going to get a decent TV deal, and they're going to be, in a year's time, the legit number 2 wrestling company in the United States. So,
I mean, that's very, very plausible. We can't say 100% that that's going to be the case.
Right.
Because anything can happen. Right. They can go on TNT and TBS, for example, and then some executive at Time Warner says, oh, I don't like this, let's can it after a year. We don't know, but I mean, the other thing, though, is...
The problem is...
Go for it.
I was going to say, the problem is, like, wrestling isn't cool like it was back in the Attitude Era. I mean, Very true. I say that, but if they watch Being the Elite, if they watch All In, if they watch these guys, there's a rare, cool feel to them that I hope they see and say, all right, these guys are kind of cool in an industry that isn't kind of cool anymore.
Exactly.
So I think that can be the shot on the industry needs, and I just hope people keep an open mind about AEW instead of being so, oh, well, they're not going to take WWE out. Well, then if they're not taking them out, I'm not going to worry about them. Like, give it a chance because everything has to start from somewhere.
And here's the thing. They're not looking to put WWE out of business as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's their goal. Because WWE always needs to be there. If there was no WWE, I feel like pro wrestling would just fall to the wayside forever and just be nothing. WWE has to be there because WWE brings in the new fans. And then those new fans go, wait, there's more than just WWE? Let me watch that as well. And so with that, looking at Tony Khan, for instance, who's putting up this supposed $100 million, he's not getting into this just to play around. He's not Dixie Carter that said, Daddy, put some money into this company so I can run a wrestling company. No, he's going to look at this as a 100% legit business venture.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been reading. That's what I'm hearing, and it sounds like they're in it to win it. And I mean, competition drives. I mean, like that's the one thing that's been missing since 2001. Yeah, there's been Ring of Honor, New Japan, Lucha Underground, but there hasn't been no one to give WWE legit competition. And they may be a long way from that, but if they can just get the ball rolling, get some eyes on it. I mean, I read a report saying like the New Japan World, their subscription numbers, I think they're only around like 100,000. So it's like they're far better quality. No,
True.
I mean WWE can't touch New Japan in quality, but look at quantity. I mean WWE is over 2 million subscriptions on the network, I believe.
Right around.
Right, so it's like 2,100,000. So it's like there's a gap there, but
the other thing. New Japan's biggest audience is in Japan. And it's here in the States, it's kind of normal to pay for a subscription service. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video. In Japan, that's not a normal thing to pay for a subscription service. So that's where people looking at that little number of New Japan World and not understanding the culture of Japan.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Shane McMahon tried to start some sort of TV thing, some subscription service in China, and it never worked because over there, it's just not the thing. They don't want to pay extra for stuff. They just, they'll pay for their cable TV or whatever they're getting already, but they're not like here in America where people will pay for Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, have 50 different subscription services they're paying $10 a month to. It's just completely different
multiple
over there.
things to keep all our attention.
Correct.
So, but I didn't think about it that way because I saw those numbers. I'm like, that's. I think it said somewhere like the U.S. number of that is like a small portion of that. So I mean,
I want to say it's maybe last year, day of Wrestle Kingdom, I think the U.S. subscription there was like 5,000 subscribers within the 24 hours before Wrestle Kingdom last year or something like that.
Wow.
From just the U.S. It was like 5,000 to 10,000.
It's just, I mean, I hear that number and I'm just like, why isn't it more? Like, why don't more people watch this?
It's because
Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean,
go ahead.
Not to cut you off, but I mean, it's honestly where they are on U.S. TV. It's Access TV. People, like, there's, to be honest, more people do get access than realize that they get access. Like, you get it with, I think you get it with Comcast. You get it with Dish Network. I don't know if you get it with DirecTV. I think you get it with DirecTV as well.
I got DirecTV. You get DirecTV.
Okay.
I was flipping channels one day. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize they get access, or they don't even know that it's on TV here in the States. They only think that it's something you got to watch online. And so that's why they're only building their U.S. audience based off of the names they've got that are already names here in America. And then those people go and they see all the Japanese and international stars and go, whoa, I need to watch more of this. So that's the other thing. They don't have...
It's good that they're doing the whole thing they're doing Friday, that they're showing the top matches from Wrestle Kingdom Friday nights. I think that's going to be real good. I think they said something about they want to, kind of push New Japan a little bit more. That's why they're doing this, which I think is going to do wonders for New Japan. The fact that you can just wait a couple hours and watch this on your TV.
Exactly. And then over the next couple of weeks, you'll see the rest of the show. I think it's going to be over 3 weeks. You'll see the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not waiting. I'm going to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch.
Same here.
But, yeah.
But
I think that's it. I think you answered all my questions.
All right. With that, I want to say thank you for the call and have a great night.
You too.
All right. I see Christian Barron says, I have a question. Well, what's your question, bud? Looking at the chat. Tony Mattrison says, CM Punk, hopefully it works because Young Buck's awesome. Besides his last name, Cody is meta me. Are you asking if CM Punk would go to AEW? I mean, it's maybe possible. Bird Guy says Access want a 1 week delay with New Japan. Access wants to be as up to date as possible. Like, they don't want to be a month behind anymore. If they can be same week behind, they'd love that. If they could say, not with Wrestle Kingdom, but say like, for instance, Dominion runs on a Saturday. They want to be able to have that show able to air on Access the next Friday. Now, they're only going to air an hour special. They're only going to air an hour of it, and they'll spread it out over a couple of weeks. But they want to be able to be as close to live as possible now with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Chris says, where did you find the possible death of Mean Gene? We have it up on our website. I'll put the link in the chat for you. It was actually in an article posted by the Hollywood Reporter, my bad. The Associated Press. They spoke with his son. Again, his son said that a couple of weeks ago, he had a pretty bad fall. And that fall just led to his health deteriorating, unfortunately. Brian Medina says, Tim, what Impact stars will join AEW? Can't tell because we don't know the contract status with some of these guys. You look at guys like, I don't know, Johnny Impact. You look at guys like Pentagon that are working in Ring of Honor. You look at people like Tessa Blanchard and Jordan Grace. Those would all be perfect people for AEW, but they're all under contract. Impact and Pentagon, they're still under contract to Lucha Underground, and nobody knows what's going on with Lucha Underground. So unfortunately, they're stuck there. Tessa Blanchard, Jordan Grace, for example. Tessa, she signed last year with Impact to a multi-year deal. And Jordan Grace signed right after or right around Bound for Glory to a multi-year deal. So everyone's locking people down. So if you say, well, can this guy go or can this guy go? Most likely not if they're signed. Because they're signing. People ain't just doing, hey, we'll sign you for 6 months. We'll sign you for a year. They're not doing that anymore. They're doing, we'll sign you for 2-3 years to make sure that their people stay with their company. But with that, I want to say thank you for joining me here live tonight on the PWUnlimited podcast, the Wednesday show, episode number 57. Of course, you can always find us right here on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. You can find us on Twitter at PWUnlimited, and always on Instagram. We don't post as much on Instagram, but we still got a page there. With that, you can also go over, check out our friends at Fightful. Here, we give you the wrestling news. But Fightful, they don't just give you the wrestling news. If you're an MMA fan, if you're a boxing fan as well, best place to go to get everything. MMA, boxing, pro wrestling, one-stop shop. Go over there, find them at Fightful.com, Fightful Online on Twitter, Fightful MMA, Fightful Wrestling, Fightful Boxing on Twitter as well. But I want to say thank you guys for joining me here tonight. As far as our review and post-show for Wrestle Kingdom goes, like I've been saying over the last week, it all depends on when Wrestle Kingdom ends. If Wrestle Kingdom ends at a decent time tomorrow, then we'll go live right after. If it does not end, if it ends close to about 6 a.m. my time, we will be going live at night talking Wrestle Kingdom because my kids are on break from school still. They're on a winter break still. They'll be home. They usually wake up between 6 and 7 a.m. So I can't risk, us talking Wrestle Kingdom, doing the live show, and then them waking up and coming out and just being loud in the background. So, again, we will let you know exactly when we will be live with our Wrestle Kingdom post show. And with that, have a good night, guys. See you later. We'll see you sometime Friday.